Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar. We'll run through the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, and then we'll have a look at the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensembles, as it looks likely that by the end of this week, we're going to go from very warm in the south and with temperatures potentially into the mid-20s to widely a lot colder, with temperatures really shooting down, potentially even as low as freezing in some areas overnight, with daytime highs in the low to mid-teens, a lot colder than what we've seen over the past few months as we hit some real proper chilly autumnal weather. Temperatures could be a good 5 degrees, at least the upper airs could be 5 to 10 degrees below average for this time of year, with a big northerly wind. After that, though, it does look likely that higher pressure could topple. The same high pressure giving us that northerly wind could topple, could produce a little bit of blocking just sitting over the top of us. We could even see an inversion under it with cooler temperatures at the surface, and we'd think with those upper air temperatures which do recover after a few days. So we'll have to see what happens, but it does look, apart from the next day or so, that it's going to be largely really quite dry, especially in the mid-range, and yeah, the long range right towards the last third of September. There's still quite a lot of uncertainty with that, so we'll have a look at that as well towards the end of the video. So, do remember, if you enjoy the videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So to start on the live radar, you can see we do have a weather front positioned over parts of northern England, and that is producing some heavy precipitation there, and that is with much cooler Atlantic fresher air behind and warm humid air to the south. So if you are the south of this weather band, across parts of Wales, the Midlands, East Anglia, central, southern, eastern and southwestern England, it's going to be quite warm and muggy out there, with temperatures in some areas getting towards as high as 25 or even 26 degrees today. But as I said, towards the north, we've got some heavy precipitation there moving eastwards. We did see a yellow warning put in force for North Wales into the Liverpool area, but that has expired earlier today and was only put in force after I recorded the video yesterday, so we didn't actually have a look at it. But yeah, widely heavy precipitation there, and even to the south of it, still some patchy precipitation breaking out, maybe some heavy showers along the south coast, as it still is really humid, so some of these showers pepping up. To the north of it, it's actually quite a lot drier, but we are in a fresher air mass, so feeling cooler, and if we do put on those temperatures, around 5 p.m. I'm recording this, so after the peak temperatures of the day, you can see those oranges and reds in the south of Birmingham, very, very warm. So as I said, mid-20s there. To the north, though, maybe mid to high teens, so quite a bit cooler, but nothing too crazy cold for this time of year. So, if you go over to the UKV and have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, you can see that precipitation heading eastwards over the course of this afternoon, and over the course of this evening it should slowly clear, and most areas will be dry tonight. As we head into tomorrow and head to tomorrow afternoon, you can see some heavy thundery showers could be pushing into the south. Most of these look just like moderate to heavy to high in terms of intensity, but there could be a few thundery downpours within it, but at this stage, mainly just moderate rain, as I said, along that sort of M4 and south sort of region. Beyond that, that precipitation continues through Tuesday evening, perhaps strengthening overnight to quite a moderate band of rain, with maybe some thunderstorms for the far south coast near the Isle of Wight, Kent, Sussex area, before it eventually does degrade, and by Wednesday afternoon most areas are dry once again, and we are starting to see a northerly flow come in with much cooler air. You'll be able to see there is a lot less clouds, yes, some patchy cloud, but a lot less cloud as those dew points are lower, so it's drier air, but we still have some showers, as it is generally under lower pressure as well. And yeah, some chilly northerly flow. You can see the traditional northerly wind areas for precipitation, the east or northeast coast to East Anglia, and the parts of western Wales and southwest England. A bit of a Pembrokeshire dangler could be seen there, where we see a bit of a sort of a train of showers right along the coast, so we can have to see what happens with that. Again, it won't be anything too bad. It just would potentially bring some more thicker cloud there. There's maybe some showers through Friday, and as we head into Saturday, still really quite dry. But it's those upper air temperatures, look at that, around freezing at 850 HPA. Compare it to today, 5 hours earlier, perhaps as high as 15 degrees warmer, with upper air temperatures peaking around 14-15 degrees in the south. So big temperature contrast coming. If you look at those max temperatures, you can see this afternoon, temperatures reaching the mid-20s, 25, maybe 26 degrees in a few spots. As we head towards Tuesday, you can see it's reasonably warm, with temperatures still in the high high teens, maybe low 20s, but not quite as warm as that weather front does clear southwards, bringing away the warmest air, but still not too bad up there. As we head through Wednesday, you can see it is still alright, low 20s for many, high teens elsewhere, but it is trending cooler. By Thursday afternoon, struggling to get towards 20 degrees, widely mid to high teens, and by Friday, look at those temperatures really struggling into the high teens, most areas low to mid-teens. And yeah, the thermometer isn't exceptionally cold, but with that northerly wind, it will feel really quite chilly. And some areas of the higher ground struggling into the double digits. So yeah, really chilly. And overnight, if we have a look at those Friday temperatures, in the north dropping close to freezing. The south really warm still. We're in the mid-teens really. But it's overnight into Saturday. Look at that, widely mid-single digits. Some areas may stay around 8 or 9 degrees, but many may drop below 5, down to 2, 3, 4 degrees. Really chilly indeed, so we'll have to see what happens with that. But yeah, it could be going really quite cold later this week into the weekend, with potentially the first frost of the autumn in some areas, potentially a ground frost in a few areas, and just generally the first chilly conditions of the year, so of the season really, so far. Now, if we do go over to the GFS, see what the pressure and upper air temperatures are doing over the next couple of weeks. Again, you can see a bit of southerly wind at the moment, bringing that warm air mass in. We see that high pressure extend towards Greenland. We see a northerly flow, chilly, cold northerly flow pushing in. And as we head towards the end of the weekend, eventually high pressure does topple in. Look at those upper air temperatures. Initially, it is really quite chilly, around freezing at Ainge THPA. But once the high pressure does topple, the upper air temperatures do recover, but we could see a bit of an inversion with those surface conditions still being quite cold. If you do actually have a look at the potential equivalent temperature for this, you can see really chilly, cool air mass there, with quite a cold northerly wind. And if we look at the temperature deviation, you can see it's a good 4 to 6 degrees below average. So it is chilly. And this week, yeah, it's not exceptional. If it was winter time, it would be actually quite mild if it was winter time. But for this time of year, it is pretty cold indeed. Now, after you run beyond that, eventually the high pressure does topple, warm air masses return, but as I said, there could be an inversion, so under the higher pressure towards the surface, it still could be a little bit chilly, especially overnight, but those temperatures could recover to around 20 degrees in the day again. Beyond that, high pressure still stays in control before eventually lower pressure pushes in, flipping between warmer and cooler air masses. This would be quite a snowy scenario in the winter, with the centre of the lows moving through sort of central to northern England. On the northern edge of that would be quite snowy, but it is the end of September, so no snow at all with this, just generally flip-flopping between really mild and pretty chilly air masses for this time of year. If you go over to the GEM, see how that does compare. Again, low pressure pushing through, and eventually we go into a northerly wind. Really quite chilly with those temperature deviations, a good 4 to 6 degrees below average. Quite cold for this time of year, and as we head beyond that, high pressure does topple in, initially in a cool air mass before those upper air temperatures do recover, but as I said, still could be an inversion. So high pressure looks firmly to be back in control, but it does look likely it will start a little bit chillier and potentially stay chilly towards the second half of September. Even though the first half of September has been really quite warm so far, it could be turning a lot chillier towards the second half, especially the nights. The daytimes may not be too bad, maybe a little bit nippy early in the morning or late in the afternoon. During the day, it won't be too bad, but it's the nights where the sun does go down, it could start to feel a little bit chilly out there. So if you do now finish for the mid-range models, have a look at the ECMWF. Again, high pressure building into our west, northerly flow coming in. Look at those Ainge THPA temperatures, really chilly, freezing at Ainge THPA pushing through. Temperature deviation, a good 4 to 6 degrees below average. And we continue beyond that, high pressure does topple in. And initially we actually see a warmer air mass push back in. But it all depends on the surface conditions. Could still be a bit of inversion there. If we actually do zoom in, go to the United Kingdom, look. Upper air temperature is really not too bad. But if we do have a look at the 2 metre temperatures, you can see overnight, yeah, not too bad. In the day, potentially getting up towards the around the mid to high teens, maybe 20 degrees. So not too much of a colder inversion there, at least towards the end of the run, but at least initially it would be chilly under that higher pressure. So if you finish the video by having a look at the ensembles, you can see the massive drop in upper air temperatures, around 15 degrees drop in upper air temperatures over the next sort of 3 or 4 days. Starting around 50 degrees at the moment with a bit of precipitation in the next day or two with those heavy showers in the south for London. Big drop towards Friday, Saturday time, down towards freezing at 850 HP, and a real slow growth back to around average. You see, either side of average, we still got a lot of ensemble members in the longer term, but you can see from around the 15th of September to around the 24th, it is pretty much bone dry. Big high pressure building in. So yeah, even though it might be turning chillier, the upper air temperatures are below average. At night we could see a ground frost. In the day it will be a little bit nippy. It is going to be dry, which I think a lot of people will enjoy. Now, of course, coming off a very dry summer, we do need precipitation, but we have seen plenty of precipitation over the last couple of weeks. So hopefully a week or so of minimal precipitation wouldn't be too bad of a thing. And the longer term, towards the last week of September, there perhaps could be signs of precipitation returning, but it is so far in the longer range, it's too impossible really to say what's going to be happening there. If you look at the dew points, that reflects the upper air temperatures, or the sort of the air mass actually much better. You'll be able to see that it's around 15 degrees from some of these runs at the moment, but it could drop all the way down close to freezing. And remember, freezing dew points are needed for snow. Now, no snow is coming with this at all. There is zero chance. Maybe over the highest peaks of the Scottish mountains up towards Ben Nevis could see some snowflakes right over the peak. But most areas, 99% of the country, have got no chance of reaching temperatures that are even possible for snow. Few areas could see an isolated frost overnight, but that's where you've got clear skies where snow is not possible. But those dew points are going to be cold, which is indicative of the cold air mass. It will return to around 5 to 10 degrees, which is around average for this time of year, but initially around later this week, around 4 or 5 days' time, it could be really quite chilly indeed. And we look at those 2-metre temperatures, you can see it really is dipping. Max temperatures later this week, perhaps only 15, 16, 17 degrees, and overnight down towards the mid to high single digits. And because this is a low resolution ensembles here, they're of course not going to do those overnight temperatures particularly well. They could be even lower than that. Now, after you finish by having a look at the upper air, but looking at the 850 HP temperature and precipitation from the ECMWF ensembles, looking at the midnight run, if we do get it to load here, you can see around peaking around 50 degrees at 850 HPA the next day or so, then dropping well down to freezing and holding on to that very cold air mass for a number of days here, maybe 4 or 5 days, longer than the GFS, definitely, before returning to around average around the 20th to 22nd. So faster return to average, but staying around that freezing point for another couple of days. Good 5 days there with very chilly weather, and of course, with these air masses just maintaining there, it could just build in terms of cold sort of potential, especially overnight. Longer term returns to average and precipitation does pick up, but it's very similar to the GFS, very dry and cold. 5 or 6 day period from around the 5th, 15th, 16th, all the way to around the 20th, 21st. If you have a look at those 2-metre temperatures from the ECMWF, you can see really chilly later this week into the weekend. Yes, 15 degree max does not sound that cold, but that'll be the coldest max we have had in around 3 or 4 months. Really chilly. And again, there'll be a nip to the air with a northerly wind, especially on northern facing coasts. And overnight temperatures, you can see here some of the ensemble members, which are low resolution, getting low as 5 degrees and could be even colder than that. And remember, we have not seen temperatures widely below around 10 degrees in quite a while, especially in city centres. Most areas have been peak highs of over 20 degrees. I think the first time we saw London dip below 20 degree daytime high was last week when we had thunderstorms we had 90 days consecutive in certain stations, I think at Heathrow, of above 20 degrees. So 15 degrees for a number of days is going to be a shock to the system, even though it doesn't sound too bad. So yeah, some real chilly weather coming later this week. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you enjoy the warmth we have today, and over the next couple of days, still going to remain warm. Not quite as warm as today, but still relatively warm. And yes, it is turning chillier later this week. You may need to put a jumper on, a coat on if you're going out early in the morning, but it will be dry, which is important. So if you are in the day doing something, yes, you may have to put an extra layer on, but it's going to be dry and it's going to be pretty pleasant with plenty of sunshine around. Again, we could see an inversion, we could see some trapped cloud, but we're not going to be able to predict that and forecast that until nearer the time. So as I said, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.